of the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win, yeah. Diffuse, mine it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked the mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running, toes they gon' take them. Used to lose, built to win, applied myself, I felt it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win, yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win, applied myself.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back for another episode. This time we're just gonna talk straight playoffs. We got the playoff game tonight, Indiana, Notre Dame, and we got 3 playoff games tomorrow. We got Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State, and SMU, Penn State, in no order. Those are not the orders, but those are the 4 games we got Friday, tonight, and tomorrow. So I'm glad to talk about those today. Also on this episode, I'm just gonna run through my bracket prediction. No explanations, really. I'm gonna just pick a team. I'm gonna pick my winner of the bracket. I'll save the explanations and everything for preview shows, but I will pick my bracket champion. And I think that's it. We're gonna go over for this episode. As you can see, I'm rocking a 4-1 bowl record. Thank you, Western Kentucky, for being my one loss. 3 fumbles, man. 3 fumbles. I can't believe they fumbled 3 times. Easton Mester dropped a touchdown early in the game. Oh, man. But shout out JMU. Shout out to Dukes. They got their first ever FBS bowl win, so can't be too mad. Shout out them. Sam Houston State as dogs. Got them right. But we'll save that for tomorrow, for Sunday's episode where I recap, week 1 of bowl week and the playoffs. But before I get into this episode, I like to ask that you like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps the channel, helps the network, helps my channel, CTC, by way of the Refuse to Lose Network. I'm going to go over all the shows we have to offer on the network. We have the main show featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave, which will be live tonight. They're normally live Tuesday, Friday, 7 o'clock to 8:30-ish. Hey, man, Ravens play the Steelers tomorrow. I might be on that episode. I'm not even, trying to leave y'all with a cliffhanger. I don't know, but I might be there. We have Unfazed every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Joe and AJ, heavy in the NFL right now, but they'll be on NBA soon. Funny enough, they just played each other. The Lakers and Kings. We got BWT, Baseball with Teddy. Teddy, big Yankees fan. They've been doing their thing in the off season. Baseball content goes through Teddy. We have Dave Doghouse, who went live yesterday at 6 o'clock. Highlight, lowlights of sports. So make sure you check him out. Real Ballers Only, RBO, NBA content. The Bucks. Shout out my boy Dame, my favorite player in the league. They just won the NBA Cup. So NBA content there. We have FFC, Fantasy Football with Coach Coombs. Hey, this is some teams, some fantasy leagues championship week, some teams first week in the playoffs. So while he won't be live this week, get well soon, Coach. He is sick. Just make sure you tune into Fantasy Football with Coach Coombs for your fantasy football advice. We have Kings Talk with Joe Jordan. He's going to give you Kings content after every game. And last but certainly not least, we got In the Red Corner featuring Ty, Tomo, and Ricky boxing episode. They every other Sunday, 7 o'clock. So make sure y'all tune into them. And that's all the shows we have on the network. So please like, comment, share, subscribe to those shows as well. And if you like what you're listening to, stick with us. Now, before I go on into these bowl games, I do got some comments to get through, and then we'll get started. Shout out my boy Tony. He's been on the show multiple times. Georgia fan. He said, "What's up, my guy?" With question marks. I don't think he meant to do question marks. I think he meant to do explanations. But what's up, my boy? We got my boy Teddy. He said, "What up, Carl? What up, Teddy?" Sorry, man. Y'all losing receivers in that portal, my boy. I'm so sorry. He said the kid I coach was wearing the JMU shirt yesterday. I ain't got no smoke with JMU, man. I really don't. I like the Dukes. Shout out Coach Chesney, getting them their first bowl win as an FBS program. I ain't got no smoke with the Dukes. I just wanted to be 5-0. Who wouldn't want to be 5-0? He said, I hope the layoff doesn't affect Notre Dame, although Indiana has been off longer. Hey, man, I hope it does. You hope it doesn't. I hope it does. But we'll get into that one in just a second. And then lastly, he said he did mean to use question marks. Oh, my bad. Respect. So let's get into these games, man. I'm going to do the bracket prediction after. So first, we got tonight's game. By the way, before I get into it, one more thing. We do have 2 bowl games today. I previewed them on a different episode, so make sure you check that out. But we have Ohio versus Jacksonville State in 30 minutes, the Cure Bowl. And we do have Florida versus Tulane, the Gasparilla Bowl, after at 4 o'clock. So make sure you check those out to see who I have winning, see why, things like that. But we do have 2 bowl games before tonight's playoff game. And also, side note, StreamYard has changed a little bit, so work with me. This is my first time using a new update, so it might take me a little minute to get used to it. But first, we got tonight's playoff game, Indiana at Notre Dame, the lone playoff game tonight at 8 o'clock on ABC. One young coach versus a well-versed coach where all he does is win, as he told the Indiana staff. Marcus Freeman in Notre Dame versus Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers at Notre Dame, because if you remember, round 1 is at the highest, well, I guess we would say lowest, the highest seed, because they're the 7th seed, Indiana's the 10th seed. It's at their house. It's at Notre Dame because they're the 7th seed. So I'm going to start with Indiana. Indiana, they got to stop the run. They got to stop Jeremiah Love. That is key to help to beat in Notre Dame. And 2, they got a game plan against the blitz. So against Ohio State, which is the lone loss, first drive, went down the field, scored a touchdown. Looked nice. And then Ohio State said, we're going to send some pressure at Curtis Rourke. We're going to see how we deal with the pressure, and Indiana's offense collapsed. Didn't score again until the end of the game. I qualified it as a garbage touchdown, but that defense stifled that Indiana's offense, and it was largely due to exotic blitzes. And, I say he's the best DC in the country. Jim Knowles, he really dug in his bag in that game. Curtis Rourke got to protect the football. That was also huge. They were turning the ball over. He got to protect the football against this Notre Dame team. You don't want to give this Notre Dame offense a short field. You want to make them work for every point that they get. You got to get off the field on third downs, and you got to get Omar Cooper and Elijah to ride the ball. Now, Notre Dame is without their best corner. He's been gone for a long time, and Benjamin Morrison. They do have Xavier Watts still at safety, one of the top safeties in the country, but you got to find ways to get Surratt and Cooper the ball. For Notre Dame, obviously, you got to establish the run, whether it's Jeremiah Love, whether it's Riley Leonard. You got to establish the run. You got to let Riley Leonard push the ball down the field. I've said this multiple times in Notre Dame games, and they've started since the loss. They really started to let Riley Leonard push the ball down the field more and more. I think at first they were holding Riley Leonard's hands and giving him short throws, easy completions. Let him push the ball down the field. That is when Notre Dame is most dangerous, when they're able to run the ball, play action, and push the ball down the field. Mix up defenses. You got to send different looks at Curtis Rourke and his Indiana offense, because if you don't, Kurt Signetti and his offensive staff, they'll dial in, and it'll be tough to stop this Indiana offense. So you got to mix up your defenses, got to send some blitz, different looks. Sometimes they go, sometimes they don't. Drop different people in the coverages. You got to mix up your looks against this Indiana offense. You got to stop the run. You got to stop Justice Ellison and Tyson Lawton, the 2 running backs for the Indiana Hoosiers. Stop the run, make Curtis Rourke have to beat you with his arm. And last but not least, I put score. And the reason why is because if Notre Dame puts the pressure on Indiana to have to score touchdowns, Notre Dame's defense can sink their teeth into this Indiana offense and possibly get those turnovers that I said Indiana cannot commit. So with that being said, I got to roll with Notre Dame. And here's why. Notre Dame's defense has been playing lights out since. Now, I get it. Y'all didn't heard me on multiple episodes. They didn't really play nobody. They did have a couple good teams they played against, but for the majority of the year, they didn't really play nobody. That is cool. But you can also argue that for the Indiana Hoosiers. So with that being said, I think this defense is going to be really huge against Curtis Rourke and this offense. I think they do stifle the run for this Indiana team. I do think they do a really good job against the run, forcing Curtis Rourke to beat him with his arm. And I do think Curtis Rourke does to turn the ball over once, if not twice, and Notre Dame takes advantage. I think Notre Dame is going to be able to run the ball against this Indiana defense. So with that being said, I got to go with Notre Dame, and they're at home as well. I have to go with Notre Dame to beat Indiana. So that's my prediction tonight. I do have Notre Dame over Indiana. We're going to get into some comments, and then we'll go to the next game. So here we go. Oh, we got a Terp in the building. Oh Lord, not a good week for former Terps, but we here. Shut up, LOL. Shout out my boy Tomo. He says I got Jacksonville State in Florida. Hey, we fighting in both games. I guess I just spoiled it because Jacksonville State's without Rich Rod, their head coach, and Ohio has nobody in the portal. So I'm rolling with Ohio. He said I think Notre Dame wins. As you can see, I agree. Tony says, yeah, they got to make them one-dimensional. And he says, I dislike Notre Dame more than the next guy, but they've been playing some good football as of late. Exactly. But you see on TTC, I can't be biased. I'm with you. I dislike Notre Dame as much as the next guy as well. But when it comes to the show, I can't be biased. I have to give my honest opinion. I think Notre Dame wins. Tony says it may come down to the final drive. If it does, then Indiana wins. If not, then Notre Dame wins. I agree. I don't know if it comes down to the final drive, though. The way I see this game playing out my head, I think Notre Dame has the game. I don't want to say well in reach, but I think if anything, Indiana is driving down for an onside kick opportunity after a score. That's the way I have it in my head. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does come down to the final drive. But yeah, that's how I have it in my head. And we're going to move on to Saturday, where our first playoff game is SMU at Penn State. Now, SMU is the ACC champion. No, they're not. Runner-up, Sorry, blunder. They're the ACC championship runner-up. Clemson is the champion. They're the runner-up in the ACC. They're playing against Penn State, another runner-up. They were the Big Ten championship runner-up. Now, they're at Penn State because Penn State's the higher seed, 6 seed versus the 11 seed. Whiteout at State College for the Penn State Nittany Lions, so you know the crowd is going to be raucous. They're 8.5-point home favorites tomorrow, 12 o'clock on TNT, or if you have HBO Max. For the SMU Mustangs, they got to stop the run. They got to stop this run of Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. If they could somehow find a way to stop the run and put the ball in Drew Law's hands, they should be in good company. They got to contain Drew Law's legs as well because Drew Law can run the ball too. Some might say he'd be able to run the ball better than he can pass the ball. Drew Law has some talent, but he will miss throws, as you can see in the Big Ten Championship game. Got to force some third and longs. You got to force third and longs. Put the ball in Drew Law's hands. Make him have to convert third downs. You got to protect the football if you're SMU, because that was an issue in the Clemson game, in my opinion. Those turnovers were costly. You saw in the second half when they really weren't turning the ball over, they were able to claw their way back into the game. And if it wasn't for a huge kickoff return, they go into overtime and probably win that game. And last but certainly not least, if you're SMU, you got to establish Brashard Smith. You got to get him going, especially so because this Penn State defense is really good at forcing turnovers in the passing game. Got to establish the run to load the box and give these outside receivers one-on-one opportunities. If you're Penn State, you have to run Singleton and Katron Allen. Definitely got to establish run. They've been big. This is your team identity all year, is running the ball. Even in the Big Ten Championship game, I think Nick averaged 10 yards a carry and Katron Allen averaged 8 yards a carry. Got to run the football. That 2nd and 1 when you decided not to run and throw the ball and throw a pick, that was costly. Run the ball. Get the ball to Tyler Warren, whether it's at tight end, offset, backfield, quarterback draw, which he's probably going to do more now that Drew Prubella has entered the portal and he won't be with the team. Those plays of Drew Prubella will probably now go to Tyler, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Poe Badula. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing his name. I know I am, but y'all know the backup quarterback that win the portal. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Those plays are probably now going to Tyler Warren. So you just got to get him the ball. Stop Brashard Smith. You have to stop Brashard Smith. That is, for that defense, that is the number one key. Stop Brashard Smith. Contain Kevin Jennings' legs. Those should lead to turnovers, which is the last point. You got to force them turnovers. It was huge for Clemson in that championship game. It will be huge for Penn State to do in this game. And my winner in this one is Penn State. I think Penn State gets the ground game accomplished. They run the ball pretty well. And SMU, they're forced to pass more than they want to. Kevin Jennings, I'm sorry, I do think you turn the ball over against this Penn State defense, who's a really good defense. They're really good at forcing turnovers already. I do think Penn State forces a couple in this game. SMU probably is going to play catch-up in this game. You don't want to do that against this Penn State team who can establish the run and kill the clock. So I'm rolling with the Penn State Nittany Lions in this one, and dare I say they cover the 8.5. I do think they cover the 8.5 against the SMU Mustangs. Got one comment, and we can move on. Teddy says Penn State. Yeah, I agree. I do have Penn State as well. And we move on to our next game. Clemson at Texas, 4 o'clock on TNT. As I forgot to put this up. On TNT. Now, Texas coming to this game as 12.5-point favorites at home in Austin, Texas, 4 o'clock TNT. Clemson is the ACC champion. Texas, Big 12 championship runner-ups, losing to Georgia in overtime. Now, if you're Clemson, you got to force them same turnovers you did to help you win that championship game against Texas. And how you do that? You got to pressure Quinn Ewers. You got to get him off his spots, put pressure on Quinn Ewers, make him throw some errant throws. We've seen that Quinn Ewers is not the same under pressure than he is when he has time in the pocket. Got to put some pressure on him. Parker and the boys should be able to do that. You got to establish a run. Now, it's going to be tough because we've seen in that ACC championship game, that Phil Moffitt shoulder injury, it looked worse than we were led on to. It looked bad. It didn't look as good as we thought. He didn't really finish. And then we saw Jay Haynes. We seen him. He had to leave the game. He was in a boot. Now, it could have been precautionary, but we did see him in a boot. So they got to find some semblance of a run game if you're Clemson. Cade Klubnik has to get the ball to Antonio Williams and TJ Moore. Even Brian Westcott. Brian Westcott was huge in the ACC championship game. Got to get the ball to them three guys. And you got to control the clock if you're Clemson. You got to control the clock. If you're controlling the clock, that means you're A, moving the ball, B, possibly scoring touchdowns, possibly scoring. So got to control the clock. Now, if you're Texas, get the ball to DeAndre Moore and Gunnar Hill. Matt Golden's in that mix. I think Isaiah Bond is probably not playing in this one. But definitely got to get the ball to those three guys, especially Gunnar Helm. He's your security blanket. Protect Quinn Ewers. Let him get to his spots. So keep him in that pocket. Contain Cade Klubnik legs. He is huge when he gets outside that pocket and he can run. He can gash your defense for big runs. You got to contain him. Make him stay in that pocket and complete a pass. Run Quintravion Wisner. Definitely got to run the ball against this team. And you got to make Cade Klubnik beat you with his arm. Like I said, you got to keep him in that pocket. Don't allow him to run. Make him beat you with his arm. Now, Texas, they still may be without Kelvin Banks Jr., still may be out of this game. But with that being said, I'm still rolling Texas. I still got Texas in this one. The lack of a run game for Clemson will be huge against this Texas defense who is just lights out. I don't think Cade Klubnik is going to have a pretty good day at the office throwing the ball against this secondary led by Jahdae Barron. The secondary is just really good. This defense is really good. They're fast. They fly around. They make plays. And I think they're going to do the same thing against this Clemson team, who's going to become one-dimensional when they're not able to run the ball. While Texas, I think, is going to be able to establish the run with Quintravion Wisner against this Clemson team. Wasn't really able to against Georgia R2L, but we know how Georgia is up front. Clemson is good up front as well. Don't get me wrong, but Clemson is not Georgia up front. So with that being said, I'm rolling with Texas to win this one at home. Don't know about covering the 12.5, but I'm rolling with Texas to win. 2 comments, and we're on to our last game of the playoff this week. We got, I think Clemson feels disrespected by the seeding and may pull off the upset. Dabo's definitely going to feed them that we're disrespected. We shouldn't be a 12 seed. We won the ACC championship. We're a Power 4 conference. I do agree with the disrespected part. I don't see an upset, but we know how Dabo is. He's definitely going to motivate his team with being disrespected. And then he says, my bad, just had my coffee Texas with the win. Yeah, I got Texas winning. All right. Last game of Saturday of the first round of playoffs. We have Tennessee at Ohio State. Ohio State is I think they didn't make the Big Ten championship game. They lost to Michigan. They once again got punked by Michigan and missed the Big Ten championship. So they're just they're at large. While Tennessee, same thing. They're at large, but they didn't get punked. They just didn't make it. So 2 at-large teams that didn't make their championship game. They go at each other at Ohio State and Columbus in the shoe. Ohio State 7.5-point favorites. You catch the game tomorrow night on ABC at 8 o'clock. The lone game, not on TNT or HBO Max. So for Tennessee, you got to stop the run. You got to stop Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. You got to stop that run, make Will Howard beat you. You got to establish Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson is the heart and soul of this Tennessee offense. Got to get him going against this defense. Get hits on Will Howard. You shake him up, get some hits on him. He might miss some throws, might throw a pick. Get some hits on him. Take away Jeremiah Smith. You gotta bracket Jeremiah Smith. Emeka Ibuka, G. Scott, y'all gotta beat me. We not letting Jeremiah Smith beat us. Excuse me. You gotta make this a low-scoring affair. I think if they can make this a low-scoring affair, stay around close late in the game, they win this game. And I think they win the game with the defense if they make this a low-scoring affair. Now Ohio State, Will Howard has to run. He has to give off the look that I'm going to run this football. That's what he did at Kansas State. Did it pretty okay at Kansas State. Got to give the illusion that I will run this ball if you give me a chance. You better spy me, try to contain me. You better not rush too hard because I will take advantage. Get the ball to Jeremiah Smith. You got to get him the ball. He's the best receiver. Find ways to make Tennessee have to put up points. Basically, they got to put up points too. If Ohio State can score a bunch of points and make Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava score points, that bodes well for Ohio State. If Ohio State can make this a high-scoring affair, that bodes well for them. I don't think Tennessee wants to make this game a shootout. While Ohio State, they do. That goes in Ohio State's favor. Touchdowns, not field goals. Find ways to score 6, not 3. Pretty simple. And you got to stop Dylan Sampson. Like I said, he's the heart and soul of Tennessee's offense. But my winner in this one, I'm going with the upset. I'm going with Tennessee to beat Ohio State. Why? Because Tennessee has a really, and I mean really good defense. And I think they keep Will Howard at bay. I don't think they stop the run, but I think they contain it. It's hard to stop these two guys in the backfield. They're one of the best tandems in college football. But I do think they contain the run to the point where Will Howard does have to make plays to win the game, and I don't think Will Howard makes those plays. Plus, what's not talked about, Tennessee has a pretty good receiving core. Chris Brazile, Brew McCoy, Squirrel White, and Deontay Thornton. I think he's the leading receiver. They have a pretty good receiving core. And I think they can challenge. These Ohio State defensive backs, Caleb Downs, Denzel Burke. I think they can challenge them guys. Now, the issue is Nico. Is Nico going to be the Nico against – I'll say this. Nico's best games has come against lower-ranked opponents. Can he finally channel his – what was he, the number one overall prospect in 2023? Or whatever, not last year, but the year before last. Can he finally channel that and have a spectacular ball game? That is the question. Nico Iamaleava will be the X factor for Tennessee. If he can channel it, if he has a really good game, Tennessee wins. But if he doesn't, it's going to be close. It's going to be a low-scoring affair, and I think Tennessee wins it with the defense. But overall, I'm going with Tennessee to win this ball game in a low-scoring affair. I just think that defense, I just seen Ohio State get stifled by good defenses, stifled by Penn State, stifled by Michigan, and lost. So Tennessee bowls a good defense. James Pierce Jr., all those guys. I'm rolling with Tennessee for the upset. Got some comments, and then we'll go into my bracket prediction. He says, Texas might dominate the game. I wouldn't be surprised. I already told you what I think about this game. Tennessee with the upset. I 100% agree. Ohio State, hey, man, I don't know. I don't trust Ryan Day in big games. I don't trust Will Howard. I don't know, man. I think Tennessee has a really good defense, and that's Ohio State's Achilles heel. I'm going with Tennessee. Ohio State plays soft sometimes, Teddy. I think they will win this game. Well, I think he meant to say Ohio State plays soft sometimes, Teddy, and he thinks Tennessee will win this game. So, and yes, he does need to play like he did against Bama in that fourth quarter late in that ball game. Also, Jalen Monroe played so bad in that game as well. But yes, I 100% agree. But I'm rolling with Tennessee. Now, before I end the show, got a little bracket prediction. So, with my predictions, I have obviously the first round that would leave Texas versus Arizona State as a 5-4 seed. Now, that's not at a home site. That's at a bowl game. Let me see if I can pull it up where it would be at. I don't know the sites. That would leave, like I said, Texas, Arizona State, Tennessee, Oregon, Penn State, Boise State, Notre Dame, Georgia. So those would be your quarterfinal games based off my prediction of the first round. And with that being said, Boise State is the Fiesta Bowl. Arizona State joint would be Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl for the Oregon game, and the Sugar Bowl for the Georgia game. But Texas, Arizona State, I do have Texas moving on against Arizona State. Oregon, Tennessee, I do have Oregon moving on against Tennessee. Penn State, Boise State, I have Penn State moving on against Boise State. And Notre Dame, Georgia, I have Georgia moving on against Notre Dame. Now with Texas, Oregon in the semifinals, I do have Oregon moving on against Texas. And in the semifinal 2 game of Penn State, Georgia, I do have Georgia moving on, making it 1 versus 2 Georgia versus Oregon in the national championship game in New Orleans. And let me see if I can find this real quick. We still got it. Hold on. Let me see. I wish you could search it. Can I search it? No, I can't. I wish I could search it to know if it's there or not. but I don't know if it's there. Oh, here you go. That would Oregon is my national champion. I know. Oregon, they always fold in the big one. They made it to the national championship, 2 times? Lost to Cam and Auburn. Lost to Ohio State with Zeke. But I think this is the time. This is the chance where Dan Lannon and the boys finally get one. Oregon gets that elusive national champion. I won't explain why. Well, you know what? I can explain this one. I think Oregon beats Georgia because of this. While Georgia's going to have a tremendous ground game, I don't think Georgia stops Oregon's passing game. I really don't. And I think Oregon just gets the 1 or 2 necessary stops to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, trust me, I understand Georgia up front is going to pose some problem from Dylan Gabriel. But Dylan Gabriel has legs to counteract that. Against Texas and Quinn Ewers isn't the runner that Dylan Gabriel is. So he's more of a stationary target. So if you get in that backfield, he's not really eluding pressure to extend the play. While Dylan Gabriel, he has the legs to elude pressure, extend the play, and make something happen with these explosive guys with Trayshawn Holden, Ted Johnson, and Evan Stewart. Then you have the running game to counteract it with Noah Whittington and Jordan James. While I love Texas, their running backs are beat up. CJ Baxter's been out for the year. I think Jaden Blue is hurt. Travion Wisner is forced into the starting spot. They don't have the depth at running back that Oregon has. So I'm just going to say it. And also, Carson Beck might be back for that game. And y'all know how I feel about Carson Beck in big games. Tends to fold. I'm rolling with Oregon in that one because of those reasons. And I know Tony probably in here fuming, but I gotta be real. Teddy says that is gonna break my heart. As a USC fan, I feel you. I really do. But hey, man, yeah, this is true. This is true. Y'all do have some athletic linebackers. Y'all really do. But y'all got a decent secondary. But man, they don't have to average 7-8 yards a pop. They could just average 4 pop, get Dylan Gabriel in manageable situations. That's all they got to do. But yeah, that's my national championship prediction based off the bracket, Oregon. That's all I got for y'all today. The Cure Bowl starts in 8 minutes. So if you off work like I am, sit back, relax, enjoy this college football. I'm sick. I got to work tomorrow because 1, Ravens Steelers play 4:30. Probably gonna be at work. And 2, obviously the college football playoff games will be on. So I'm hoping we have a slow day like it's been this past week, so I can watch some of these games while I'm in the truck. But I appreciate everybody using that comment section. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I will be back Sunday. I have to be back Sunday to recap everything because there's a bowl game Monday at 11 in the morning. So I got to preview that for y'all as well. So I will be back to recap everything. Hopefully I go 4-0. Hopefully I go 6-0 so my bowl record could be 10-1. Playoff games will be included in the bowl record. I figured it's coming, bro. I already know it's coming. Tony says we definitely have to talk. I already knew it was coming, bro. I feel it. So, but like I said, that's all I got for y'all today. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. Enjoy the main show at 7 o'clock. Whether I'm on it or not, enjoy the main show. But I'm gone.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.